Hello book lovers and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Perkins and today I'm talking to Jamell Crouthers. Jamell is a poet, author, blogger and podcaster who has taken on the journey of writing in the prime of his life. He has been writing poetry since the age of 13 but never thought he could utilise his talent to tell stories and write books. He is not the traditional author as he writes his many books in poetry prose format with a focus on storylines and societal issues. Today we're going to be focusing on Code Blue, An Oath to the Badge and Gun. Hi Jamell, welcome and thank you for coming on Book Talk Radio Club.
Thank you so much for having me, Claire. I appreciate it greatly.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Jamell, Code Blue, An Oath to the Badge and Gun. Would you like to give Book Talk Radio Club's listeners a brief synopsis of Book 1, please?
So, Code Blue, An Oath to the Badge and Gun. It's about a character named Gary. It's a fictional story where Gary is a police officer and he's been on the force for a while and he's, feeling like he's doing great with everything and he ends up getting caught up in a lot of lies, deceit, corruption that's going on and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do about all the things that are going on around him.
Gary has been on the police force for a few years. He feels he's doing a great job of serving and protecting his community, but soon he realises that he's part of a police force where there are some police officers who dishonour the oath they all took to protect and serve their city. And he knows what is going on around him is all wrong. Tell me about Gary. What kind of man is he? What kind of cop is he?
Gary is a cop that he always wants to do things the right way. As a kid, the backstory of it is that he's always wanted to be a cop when, he became an adult. And he is a family man and he does have a son that looks up to him in all that he does. So he always wants to abide by the code and the oath that he took to, do the right thing in his community and protect his community and look out for the people that he cares about.
And also to set the example for his son, obviously. Code Blue, An Oath to the Badge and Gun paints a very real and vivid picture that highlights the narrative that many people in America face today. Being confronted with the dilemma that your job conflicts with your personal beliefs and morals. It never fails to unnerve me. Why do you think that job values are so out of line with our personal beliefs and morals? Are the people running corporate America and the global corporate world, of course, so lacking in moral fibre? And why? I mean, what's going on here?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with power and control. I think, when people, move up into higher positions in corporate America or whatever the case is, it's a power and ego thing that goes on along with the money that comes with it. So people's, I think, morals and values start to change, as they advance in their careers or whatever they choose to do with their livelihoods. So I think that becomes the line that you kind of got to draw to figure out, okay, like, why is the power and the ego allowing you to forget what your morals and values are?
I think it's all fear. They fight and fight to get to this point. Then they fear the loss. They fear the loss of their job, the status, and the money, obviously. And that makes them hold on faster and faster and become more corrupt.
Right, exactly. Exactly what it is.
The book is written in the form of bulletins. I'm actually fascinated by the style. It just took my breath away. Why did you decide to go down this route?
I didn't want to be the traditional author that wrote, a regular book where you're following it and there's dialogue and all of that. And then the other part of it was I've never been able to really try to follow a format like that. I've always been like a poet and a poetry writer, so I figured, why don't I incorporate a poetry prose format and the societal issues, mesh it together and make it it's more spread out to where you can read it easier and better, and then it keeps you more engaged with reading the book and you're reading it from the character's perspective.
Absolutely. You start with the first page and I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. And you've had some wonderful reviews. We'll go through those later on. But it's a really interesting read. Really, really interesting way of reading it. Anyway, the force follows orders from the chief, who continues to post bulletins demanding compliance to edicts about everything from planting drugs to straight-up murder, writing things like, "This is inhumane, but to be honest, I don't really care. Let's get the job done so we can all look good for the media in the end." Why does he feel that he has to look good for the media?
Well, I mean, the media is going to report, how the city is as far as, the safety and all that stuff. But, like I referred to that whole power part of it. So he just feels like, okay, I have to report to a higher person, which is most likely a government official, which may be the mayor or the governor or whatever the case is. So, when you're getting orders from even a higher person, then it's, okay, well, I've got to get this done and I got to look good for everybody. And when you look good, obviously, there comes certain things that you get, obviously, which is either more money or even a higher promotion or whatever the case is. So once again, that line that you got to draw where, what's right, what's wrong, but doing it the wrong way is obviously what's getting him to, higher positions.
Exactly. If I'm correct, the goal of the story is to shine light on the justice system, but it is also personal. You want us to recognise the issues in society, to read and feel uncomfortable, and to ask ourselves, what are we going to do about it? I mean, that's the question, of course. What can we do about it?
Well, I think the biggest part of a lot of what people are doing now, they're starting to record things that police officers are doing. They're posting it on social media, so we're utilizing our platform to expose all of the atrocities that go on in the world, and I think that's a great thing. I think that we have to really start holding people accountable for their actions, no matter, what position that they're in. And, I think that the more we do it, the more things will change progressively, and, what's going to happen as, time goes on is I think, laws are going to change, and, the conduct of police officers are going to start to change also. It's not going to be, just us, as people, being mistreated or being abused, at the hands of the police officers. And it's also these, good police officers, exposing, who, the bad ones are. I think that's the bigger question of why these good cops are allowing these bad apples, in the tree to continually be there.
Well, I feel that the main issue is distrust, an outdated and entrenched fear-based belief system and a lack of communication. Would you agree?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. I think definitely the fear-based belief system. I think that, police officers are caught up in their morals, their values, their beliefs, but also their paycheck, their pension, and their medical benefits, which is kind of what I touch up on, on part one, that Gary, has a family. He has to look out, for his family. And I think that, as time goes on, he starts to realize that it's more about his morals and his values rather than that paycheck and, and the medical benefits. But police officers are afraid to be ostracized for reporting their superiors and reporting other people.
Exactly. There are 4 other books in the Code Blue series. Do they all follow the same theme with the same main character?
Yes, they definitely do. It's telling it a lot from Gary's perspective, but his son Gary Jr. is also involved in the book. Also, he shares a lot of thoughts of what he feels and what his dad is doing, and things like that. So as the series goes on, you'll start to see a relationship between Gary and Gary Jr. where it becomes tumultuous, and then toward the end it improves and it gets better.
Right. Did you write the Code Blue series from first-hand experience or from a great deal of research?
Not first-hand experience. It's definitely a lot of research.
Right.
Just seeing what's going on in the world. You see a lot of stuff on social media. You see a lot of stuff in the news. You also hear stories from close friends and their encounters with police officers too.
Right.
And you start to develop the storyline and how you want to portray it.
Yeah.
But you always hear the story from us as citizens of their encounters with the police officers, but you never hear, from the perspective of the good police officer who's, trying to balance out his life.
Exactly. You've received extremely good reviews for book 1 of the series, including seriously relevant and a truly remarkable novel, and an amazing story that touches a lot of issues and concerns going on in today's society. Gary, I'm saying Gary, that's the main character. Jamell, did you find that the reviews encourage you to continue writing the other books in the series, or was it a desire to shine a light on corruption?
That's a great question, and it's honestly a combination of both, actually. Definitely shining the light on the corruption that's going on in the world, for sure. Honestly, I didn't have any intentions on writing a series. It actually happened. I was honestly reading an article about, authors and, kind of how they, write and things like that. And then it was, write books and series. So I was like, oh, maybe I should write a series. And before I knew it, it was like, okay, I'm going to write a series. And then I started developing storylines.
Will there be any more Code Blue books, or do you feel you have said all you need to with Gary?
So this is a great question, and it's also I'm going to reveal something. So the Code Blue series, the 5 books I've written, that's done.
Right.
So the end of Code Blue 5 kind of leaves you up in the air. Gary makes a return, but it's going to be a different series.
Right.
It's in the near future where he becomes a private investigator. So that's in the works. It's not going to happen next year, but it's going to happen the following year.
Fantastic.
I've already started working on a 5-book series. It's either going to be between 5 books and 7.
Right.
I've kind of got some topics of discussion that I'm going to tackle, and it's going to be a very interesting series.
It sounds like it.
I definitely will say that.
Wonderful. Okay, well, lastly, where can Book Talk Radio Club's listeners purchase your books?
So my books are on all major platforms. So it's on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Apple iTunes, Kobo, Scribe, 24 Symbols, Playster, Biblioteca, Baker & Taylor.
Okay, we get the idea.
and IndieBound is paperback. You can get paperbacks there too. So yeah, they're everywhere. You can find them anywhere at this point.
Wonderful. All right, well, thank you, Jamell. Please come back on Book Talk Radio Club again. I'd love to chat with you and hear more. In the meantime, good luck for the future, and thank you, everyone, for listening to Book Talk Radio Club. Thank you, Jamell.
Thank you so much.
Sure.